for success. And hard work is in all of it. Like, there's no way around busting your behind. Like, and I want to say another word other than behind.
So you are going to be meeting my uncle today. I'm so excited. I'm in Columbia, South Carolina, and I'm at Chipotle where he requested to get some food from. Chipotle is not like my first choice to get food. It's not my second. It's not my third. It's not even like my sixth or seventh. It's like way at the bottom. But because, you know, this is what he wanted, so this is what we're gonna get. So I'm sure I'll like it. I've had it before, like once before when I used to live in Columbia.
At the light, turn right onto UG Street. In 3/4 of a mile, keep left to merge onto I-126 toward Toledo.
I have my uncle Mike Goodwin with me. Some of you may recognize him. I hope you do. I share some of my stuff on Facebook, or some of his stuff on Facebook. He is a comedian, a Christian comedian.
Another thing we love in the South is nicknames. We love nicknames in the South. I realize there's some people I've been knowing my entire life. I don't know their real names. My brother called me the other day. He said, hey man, you know Mark Davis's mom passed away. Like, I don't know no Mark Davis, man. He's like, Stanky, man. Stanky mama passed. I'm like, why you ain't say that from the start? I need to give Stank a call. We would try to be funny with nicknames. We call big people nicknames like Tiny, Slim. We nickname people after food. I know a cornbread, a pork chop, and a collard green. I know this one dude, his nickname is Boss, and he ain't got no job.
And he has, in many ways, helped me, motivate me in my career, and so I thought that it would be a good idea just to kind of get together, eat some food, a mukbang and a mukbang, whichever one you want to call it, and just like, you know, talk about something that could potentially help you as you are, you know, going after your dreams and what you want to do with your life. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
I had a guacamole in mind, so. Should be
Big
good.
spender.
Big, costs a lot.
Yeah. I will tax you with that guacamole tax.
So, you know, Uncle Mike, we're gonna be eating while we talk, so you guys know how it works if you've seen him up on before. But, you know, tell me, you know, what did you go to school for, and what was your career after, you know, you graduated from college?
So, before I went to college, I went to the Army. So I did 4 years active duty in the Army. So I spent a year in Korea, and then I was at Fort Stewart, Georgia, which is in Hinesville, outside of Savannah. So then I went to college and I majored in political science, but I didn't start as a political science major. I started as an exercise science major. Thought I wanted to go into, I guess, like strength and conditioning, but when I started, all they had me doing was wrapping ankles in the training room. I was like,
It's not for me.
yeah, filling up ice bags and wrapping ankles. I was like, no, I don't want to keep doing this. So I know I wanted to work with people. So I ended up changing my major to political science. Then from there, I thought I was going to go to law school, and then I thought I was going to become like a PhD in political science. But on campus, I was very active. So I did like student government, I did student ambassador, I was a resident assistant, I was in fraternity, I was in ROTC.
Shout out to Lambda University.
Shout out to the Bearcats. That were the senators when I was in college. And so I started talking to the administration about how do you get into student affairs. And so the dean of the students at the time was a guy by the name of Fred Bossard. He took me to a conference It was like a student affairs conference. I believe it was in Greenville. And I was having conversations about, how the people get these type of jobs. So they were telling me that you had to get a master's of higher ed administration. So I ended up applying and going to the University of South Carolina. And so I did that. Also, I still was in the military, so I did my weekend duty stuff. But my goal was to become a dean of students, work on the campus, possibly become a president of a university, but definitely to be in the upper administration of a university.
I was young at this time. I'm still young, but I was younger then, and I remember hearing about that, and I remember you working there. But I also remember when conversations began where you saw yourself doing something else, correct?
Yeah, so I started doing stand-up when I was working at USC. So I got a job at the University of South Carolina. I was working in student affairs. At the time, I was working in multicultural student affairs. So I worked for the Office of Multicultural Student Affairs, but I also worked in Greek life and leadership programs. But I started doing comedy at my church. I did a show at my church for a New Year's Eve service. This was like 2005, possibly. So I did that show and I was like, oh man, I really enjoy doing this comedy. But comedy is one of those things that you don't just stop your job and start pursuing. I mean, you can if you are not married and you don't have a mortgage and you don't have bills.
Right.
You can go sleep in your car like Steve Harvey did back in the day. But I had responsibility, so I couldn't just up and chase my dream. So I was just doing comedy when I could, like after work, on the weekends, and I was just spending a lot of time understanding how to do stand-up. I mean, comedy, I think a lot of things in life, people are misunderstood about how hard it is to be successful. I think folks are like, oh, I'm gonna do a YouTube page and all these people gonna view
Me,
and I'm viral and I got all these sponsorships.
Right.
And it's like, yo, it's a lot of work. I gotta interview guests, I gotta get lighting, I gotta get equipment.
Right.
I gotta have questions, I have personality. The same thing happens with comedy. You just don't walk up on stage and, oh, I'm funny with my friends. I can be funny in a room of strangers behind a microphone. So it takes a while just to kind of get confident, have material, be in front of audiences and start feeling comfortable. So I was doing that on the side and working, but then I got a new job. So I probably worked at University of South Carolina while I got my master's. That took about 2 years. Maybe 2 years and about 7 months or so, because I had a guy I went to graduate school with. He was working at this private school, and he was looking to hire somebody in the position that he was moving out of. So he was the college counselor at a private school here in town, and so he reached out to me to see if I was interested in applying for the job. He always would, when we were even in graduate school, he would always talk to me about my interest of working in, secondary education. But my whole goal was to become a college administrator. I had no desire to work on a high school campus. So I did an interview, went over there, and I really liked the place. It was a great school. I liked the job. I would have been interacting with colleges, helping families navigate the process of identifying colleges, make sure they had the test scores, and the right courses, teacher recommendations, all of those things. So I took that job about the same time I started doing stand-up.
And I guess you knew the reality is what I'm hearing as you're talking about, not just saying, okay, I want to be a comedian, I'm just about to drop everything that's going on in my life and I'm about to shoot for it.
Right.
Which I think my generation, especially, we have this mindset where like, I want this, I'm going to put everything in it, and I'm going to forget the fact that I have rent, and I'm going to forget the fact that I have a lot of responsibilities on my plate and I still need to survive.
Right.
I guess talk about the hustle and the grind of having a full-time job and then on the side, you know, still working towards your dream.
Yeah, your generation is very admirable in terms of your moxie, your sense of fearlessness, but there's a little bit of unrealistic expectations. Mm-hmm. So I already knew, you know, you're talking about a person that at this point, I had spent 4 years in the military, I had graduated from college, I had a master's degree, I had a family. So I knew how long it had taken me to get to where I was. And I knew comedy was a job. I knew there was an opportunity to make money. You know, people talk about following their dream. First off, I didn't even know that was my dream. I've always been funny. But I, you know, as a 19-year-old, I didn't graduate from high school. It was like, you know what? I'm moving to LA. I'm moving to New York. I'm about to be a star. Like, that just wasn't on my radar. And maybe had it been then, I might have kind of taken that leap. I think for me, it was beneficial to, you know, I was on a talk or a webinar or something, and the guy was talking about seasoning. I think it's important in life to figure out, you know, you can make food, but food is better when it's seasoned, when there's flavor, when there's different ingredients in it. And I think that's what your life is. I think your life, you should look for opportunity to put seasoning in your life. Not that you can't be successful young, and not that you can't, you know, strike out and make it happen, but just because you didn't do that doesn't mean that you can't go on to success and you can't live the type of life that you want to live. So I just recognized that it was going to be difficult to become a comedian because it was just hard to get on stage the few times that I had already done it. And I wasn't even doing anything big. I mean, you get up, I think the first time I got up on stage, I might have done 7 minutes, which to me felt like an eternity. You know, but if you look at a Netflix special, that's at least an hour.
Right.
You know, so from 7 minutes to an hour, it just seemed like decades away. So I didn't get caught up in the dream. I got caught up in the process, right? So I just wanted to just get better. I wanted to write one funny joke. And then I wanted to write 2 funny jokes. And then I wanted to write 3 funny jokes. So I wanted to get 5 minutes. Then I wanted to get 10 minutes. Then I wanted to get 15 minutes. So I think if you pace yourself and you give yourself some realistic goals where you're not overwhelming yourself, you know, because I think one of the things that happens is we have these high standards and you don't meet it and there's all this disappointment. And you're further than when you started. Like, look at, if you started here and now you're here, that's a lot to celebrate. But if you looking to be there, you looking at all this gap of the disappointment. You're not looking at this road that you like, I am markedly better than when I started. So I think I just recognized that, and one thing I used to say when I first started, I said, I'm gonna fund the dream until the dream can fund itself. So I saw myself as an investment opportunity. So I needed a job, which I had a good job. I didn't, you know, I enjoyed my job. If I were not doing what I'm doing now, I would have probably been still working, if not at the school I was at, I would have still been in education in some capacity. So I saw myself as an investment. I said, okay, if I wanted to be able to do this full time, pursue my dream, it needed to be financially feasible. And then for me, I mean, it was tangible because I had a wife, I had kids, I had a child, I had a mortgage. I had like tangible things I had to pay. So if I was just me, and all I had to pay for was, you know, an apartment, a car payment, insurance. You know, that's more doable. But with a mortgage, you know, all the responsibilities that I had, I just couldn't. I could sleep in the car, but I don't think my family would to sleep in the car. So that was the grind. Like my grind, it had to produce a financial result that matched what I already was getting at the school.
See, I took two things from that. I think when people hear the word investment, they think of money, and yes, you have to, you know, have that job to support you to, you know, invest that money into you. But I know we've had conversations about books, we've had conversations about podcasts, about learning. Talk about the investment that isn't money, but
right. So think about like, especially like folks in your generation, I like to talk to y'all about working within the margins. So if you have a job, you have to be at your job from 8 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon. Well, you have margin, let's say you get up at 5:30. You have margin between 5:30 to 7:30, where you can spend time investing in yourself, not just saying, man, I want to chase my dream. I think my concept of investing in yourself is being the type of person that you want to be at that level of success that you're desiring to be. Like who I am right now and who I aspire to be, I think there's a gap. And the way that I can I can close that gap is I can educate myself by virtue of studying. I mean, we live in a time now, you can just watch things on YouTube. You can listen to podcasts. You can learn so much. And people that we admire or have done the things that we want to do, there's so much information to get. The challenge is to execute on the information. Like you can have all the information in the world, but if you're not doing anything with it, you're no better than when you didn't know information. Right. So I think you're kind of worse to know and not do. So I think that there are ways to, you know, so for a comedian, right? You always think about being funny on stage, getting on stage. Here's something that a comedian can do, which I did, that helped me in my career. So I worked with other comedians and I worked their merchandise table. So I sold their stuff. I took pictures of them and their fans. I helped them set up without even getting on stage. Because I made myself valuable to them, and they would say, you know, a lot of times people say, you know, you need to take me on the road with you. You need to bring me. Why? Because you funny? I'm already funny. I don't need more funny. Like, I'm funny enough for both of us. I do need somebody to work my merch table. I do need somebody to be in charge of my social media. I do need somebody to get these emails and take these pictures. So look for gaps. With the, you know, like if you want somebody to mentor you, you want somebody to help you, you want somebody to invest in you, you look for opportunities to serve them. Like, you know, Maya, she reached out to me to do the podcast. She wasn't like, hey, I'm coming to do your podcast. She's like, we're gonna have lunch. I'm gonna buy you lunch. So I'm like, even though she's my niece, I would do it anyway, but the fact that she did that was like, okay, she's invested her time. And she honors my time by saying, I'm gonna bring a meal, we're gonna have a conversation. I think a lot of times people just want to take from other people. Right. You have what I want, help me get to where I want to go. Why?
I think, I believe it's C.D. Jakes, I don't know, but I believe it was, and he talked about people don't want to hear problems, people don't want to hear questions, people want solutions. So when you make yourself, there's many ways where you're saying when you make yourself a solution, when you make yourself valuable, or an answer to a person's need, they're more likely to notice you, to want to, you know, invest in you, invest into things with you. So, yeah. And
they give you an opportunity to see what you don't have understanding of. Like, so the guys and people I open for and work for, they had bigger audience than I had myself. So it gave me access to an environment that I wasn't familiar with. So now I can begin to have a vision for what I want for me.
At what point, now you are a completely full-time comedian. So talk about, at what point did you know, okay, I can drop the things around me, like, your other job, and I can fully go into this comfortably, knowing that I've taken care of my responsibilities, or I know I can take care of my responsibilities going forward as this dream being now my career.
Yeah, that's an interesting question because part of mine was a faith decision. So there's gonna always be a level in my life where I trust in God. Like, I don't know, but I've had enough experience with God. I've had enough wins. The Bible talks about when David fought Goliath, he said, well, I slew a lion and I slew a bear, so now I have the confidence to fight Goliath. And so that's what basically happened. You get small victories along the way. One thing, just tangibly, if I looked at the amount of money I was making, there was probably a span of like 2 to 3 years, where I was making about half of my salary doing stand-up. And I was just doing stand-up on the weekends and here and there. So if I've already generated half of my salary while having a full-time job, it's pretty realistic to think I could make my full salary. That was one of the things that we evaluated. The other thing too, once it became a realistic idea, we said, okay, how can I start paying down expenses? How can I eliminate debt? So when I said we, my family, my wife and I, we got really aggressive about becoming debt free, cutting off any kind of financial obligations that we didn't need. Like, we had a mortgage, we had a car payment, but any credit cards and just frivolous bills that we had, that became important to pay that stuff off. And then one thing I wish I would have done before I left, I wish I would have created some of the programs that I'm creating now prior to leaving. Because I was so focused on leaving. Like, you get so tunnel visioned about, I gotta go full time, I gotta do my thing, I gotta get out of here. And right now, I'm currently teaching, I do comedy, I do keynote speaking, but I also teach other speakers how to use humor. I was teaching a public speaking class at the school I work. I could have piloted that class in a room full of people, like guinea pig the class, and walked away with, and here's 3 things I can take straight to the market from my job, because I'm teaching a public speaking class. I'm already in front of an audience. Now, these were high school kids, but I still would have at least had a starting point.
Right. So basically what you're saying is that there are opportunities, if you look hard enough, if you're not so concentrated on like getting to where you want to be, there are opportunities where you are to birth something that is in connection with the dream that you have.
Where you going? There's nothing I'm doing now that I wasn't doing then. I'm just doing it at a bigger scale, higher level. And I'm the same person outside of the information, the books I've read, the experiences I've had. I was so focused on me that I wasn't looking at, in this moment of time, what can I create? What can I pilot? What can I begin to test drive in this environment where there's no risk? I was in that classroom 5 days a week. So let's say I taught my regular lesson for 40 minutes, and then for the other 7 minutes, I worked on this other thing that I knew I was going to do when I left the school. But you gotta have vision to do that. And a lot of times, your vision is obscured by your pride and your selfishness. So I gotta get out of here. I gotta do my thing. It's like, no, man, just in that moment where you are, have you squeezed all the juice? Like eating Like I hate to watch people like eating chicken and they leave all that meat on the bone. It's like,
Right.
why you left all that meat?
Exactly.
Come on, man, you gotta get that meat off the bone. So don't leave meat on the bone.
Mm-hmm.
Like get all that you can get.
You know, I think that I feel like there will be people who may watch this video and say like, well, I've been working on my dream and I've been doing what you said. I haven't quit my job, my career. You know, I've been reading books. I've been listening to, you know, people who inspire me to do better, and
Right.
I've been working and I've been grinding. I've been doing what I need to do. Talk about frustration. You know, I don't know if you ever felt that when you were trying to get where you are now, like frustration, disappointment, setbacks, maybe even times where you're just like, man, forget it. Like,
Right.
you know, just wanting to give up. Talk about that.
Yeah. So when I'm most frustrated is when I'm looking at what other people are doing versus focusing on what I'm doing. Like, I'm super frustrated when I'm on social media and I'm seeing my peers. Oh man, how they got that show? Oh man, they got a grab. How they get that opportunity? Like when I'm spending way more time looking at other people's, comparing myself to other people, hoping that somebody would call me. Like, so here's a great example of, in comedy what happens, and think of anything in life, you got folks that are above you. You know, you got the Steve Harveys, the Kevin Harts, the more successful established comedians. And so you'll have shows where you get to work with these folks. And you'll go into these shows with the wrong attitude. You'll go into the show like, hopefully, they will see how great I am and take me to my promised land. That's the wrong attitude. The attitude I would invite you to think about. Be so dope working on what you're working on that if no one were to make things easy, and you're always gonna have advocates, there's always gonna be somebody that helps you a little, make a call, takes you, but don't expect it. Don't anticipate it. Don't sit around daydreaming about, man, Kevin Hart gonna call me. Daydream about the thing that you're gonna do when I finish writing this book, when I finish going on tour that I've created, when I finish doing this series. Like, get so caught up into what you have inside of you and try to bring that out versus being frustrated about the stuff you've done and it's not gotten you where you want to go. Like, it's a simple, like it seems very small, but it's huge. If I'm so focused on what I'm doing, I can't get frustrated because I'm working. Like I'm like, okay, that didn't work. Let's tweak it. Let's not stop. Let's not, because I mean, I make content. I put up, you know, word a day, and I'll put it up, and it's like 50 views. The wrong attitude is to be like, man, ain't no way, I know, but, 50 people like this joint.
Right.
That's 50 people.
So I was just getting ready to say that. So like you have a lot of, well, I'm not gonna say a lot of people because I don't really know that, but you have some people who may perform based off of how many views they have, you know, how many likes they're getting. I guess talk about, you know, in your case, performance, in my case, quality. Talk about, you know, ensuring those things within yourself, being that person that I'm going to always give 100%, no matter if one person are watching or two people are watching, because, you know, you never know what kind of name can be in that just 10 views. Like, right. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, J. Cole has a song when he talks about, he's talking about like one of his rapper buddies is frustrated because they're not bigger, and you like, yo, you got a crowd of people that's loving what you're doing. Like, focus on that. Like, focus on the people that you're servicing. And again, everybody's affected by numbers. I mean, you know, that's just a reality of life. You see the views, you see the likes, you see the retweets and but what you need to understand is, why are you doing this? Are you doing this to go viral? And if that's the case and you have it going viral, you might want to reevaluate what you're doing. Now, if you're trying to go viral and you go there, you know, if that's a goal, then try to do what you can do to do it. But my goal, when I started doing comedy, I didn't do comedy to go viral. I didn't do comedy to be famous. I did comedy because I really enjoy doing comedy. Then you do something well, then people start putting their expectations on you. Like, so when you gonna go on? So when you going? Have you auditioned? Or when you gonna do? Have you been on? When you? And it's like, I didn't sign up to do that.
Right.
I signed up to be funny. And then so I think the first thing you have to do is define what success is for you. What is that for you? You know, is success consistently putting out content that people enjoy, or is success going viral? Like, you need to figure that out, and then you need to give yourself the amount of time for that to happen. And you need to be consistent. Like, a lot of times it's similar to like losing weight. It's like people like, oh, I want to lose 20 pounds. And then they work out real hard in the gym for a week, and they're like,
I don't see anything. Yeah.
What are your results at? It's
Right.
like, hey man, you took 5 years to get this extra 30 pounds you done put on. You ain't gonna get that off in a week. So I think that people have unrealistic expectations, and I think that you should focus more internally than externally. I mean, we all are frustrated. I think one of the ways that we can kind of limit that is to be around a community of people that's pushing you and that's encouraging you and that's helping you to do successful stuff. But if you just like in an island by yourself, nobody else can speak into you, invest in you. You need iron to sharpen iron. So you can't do it by yourself. You can't be alone in your journey. But you also need to know you and not allow everybody to put their expectations on top of you.
I have a question. I had a question in mind, but that what you just said just kind of detoured me a little bit, so I'm going to go with this. Talk about, you said it's important to have those people around you. Well, what if you don't?
Yeah.
What if you have a lot of people doubting the dream and the vision that you have? And sometimes it can be the closest people who you think are going to support you and have your back and say, yeah, you can reach this. What if you don't have that?
You need to give that to somebody else, right? So, and you need to expand your circle from the degree of like, we always talk about keep our circle small. You need to trade people out. Like if you got people that's on your circle, you gotta switch out. Like you're not gonna be expelled, but you're gonna be in the wider circle. I gotta get somebody else in with some more positive energy, someone who's not jealous. I think one thing too, like for you, it would be valuable to have a friend that's in comedy or that's an author that's walking a similar path, but they're not in the thing that you're doing. Right. So there are opportunities to connect with people that are entrepreneurs, that are in education, that y'all not like, because comedians suck as friends, right? So, and I'm sure the same is true across genres. I mean, if a comedian, I would call somebody and be like, yo, I just got this. And if my friend is like, yo, how you get that? Then you ain't my friend. Like, you like, yo, send me the email of the person. No, man, this ain't for me to like give you. This is for us to like
rejoice together.
Yeah, celebrate. So you need to have friends who are not intimidated by you. Because some people do it exactly what you're talking about. On the outward, they'll be like, oh girl, you can do it, you can do it. And then when you start doing it, now they feel away. It's like, well, I ain't doing it. You might need to slow down. You're doing too much. Last time you tried that. But the problem is we keep those people on for some reason. Like I just told my wife recently that there's a guy I grew up with, I went to college with, lifelong friend. He's just a bad friend. He's not a good friend.
Right.
He's not a good friend. Like we've been friends for 30 years. He's not a good friend. I'm not mad at him. I'm not upset with him. I just don't give the energy.
Right.
Like I'm not going to expect good friends vibes from a person that's not a good friend.
And talk about you want to keep people around as you said 30 years. Like if someone's been a close friend for that long, it can be hard to like, you trust that person. I guess you began to trust that person. So if they say, oh, like, no, I'm sorry, Mike, I don't think that opportunity's for you. Like, I don't think you can be able to knock that one out. So talk about, you know, you can still have that person in your life, but that person just can't be connected to the dream and the vision, right? Because that's what you're essentially saying.
Yeah, I'm like, you can have people at whatever level in your life, but here's the issue. I started, especially when it came to comedy, I started letting the comedy speak for itself. So I was never like, yo, I'm about to book 20 shows next year. I never done it. I just went and did it.
Right.
And then so I had my goals and I was trying to get them, but I wasn't telling people, yo, 2018 is gonna be great for me if I do these 7 things. Now once I started getting, you know, I got a wife, so that's a covenant person that I can be like, yo, this is what I have going on. But this people that's been in my life all this time, and we common, we feel good, we comfortable. They saw it when it went down. Like they saw it. I called them when I got the call.
So that's like a protecting the vision. That's protecting the dream, and you know you're only sharing it with. Because there are dream thieves and dream killers,
right.
like you know. So I can't even with myself and in the journey to get where I am in my career, I had to realize that, you know, everything that you want to accomplish isn't for everyone's knowledge. Like, you know, and it's not that you're hiding anything, it's just that you're protecting it because you want it to be birthed, you want it to make it.
And there's a lot of other stuff to talk about. Like, we don't have to talk about my dreams every time we get together. Like,
right, yeah.
And if I'm talking to this person about my dreams and they're never talking to me about their dreams, that's not a good situation. Like I have married buddies. If I'm having a problem in my marriage or I'm having some challenges and stuff, and I go to this person and they never tell me, like, hey man, me and my wife had a disagreement. Like I'm always, that's not a relationship. That's like some type of, like you're over me. You know, and you can have a mentor, but if I'm calling you my friend, like a friend, I'm not looking at my friend to be a mentor. Now, some friends can mentor you, but that's not the primary role of our relationship. So yeah, man, I think relationships should be about reciprocity. Like if I give you secrets, information, you need to be giving me secrets, information. And if you find yourself giving out all your stuff to people and nobody giving you anything, like you gotta rein that in, man. Write in a journal, like people. Guess what? Your journal will kill your dreams.
Right.
Your journal don't tell you can't do it. Like you might say it internally, but yeah, man, write that stuff down, man. Share your heart inside a journal on a piece of paper. Share it in prayer. And again, you can have. I'm not saying you can't have friends, you can't have people close to you, but people trying to live their life, like. They trying to live their dream. They trying to do stuff, and you out here telling them all the moves that you making. And it's like, man, just make the moves. They'll see it.
What about, my journey, I always wanted to be a news reporter, but when I graduated college, the opportunity that was in front of me was human resources. So I look at that time, I'm so blessed for that time because I learned a lot that helped me in my other jobs and then helped me in my personal life. And I sat in a lot of meetings where it was a big company and they were like different groups. And so each group would have a mission, they would have a goal, we would spend hours in these conference rooms talking about mission statements, talking about goals, talking about all of this because they wanted to identify who they are and they wanted to make sure that they knew going forward that this is what we stand for. This is what this is our end goal. This is what we want people to see when they look at our company.
Right.
How important is it to have that for like yourself?
Yeah, it's very important. Matter of fact, I was just starting to write an email about that. My current vision for myself is to entertain, educate, and inspire. That was my first vision. So I think the first vision that I came up with, I wrote it because somebody told me I needed a vision statement. So I did the activity, but it didn't resonate with me. Like it wasn't mine. I just did it because somebody told me to do it. To entertain, educate, and inspire, that's me. So I'm constantly looking at how is what I'm doing now addressing one of those three topics. Or if somebody hits me up like, hey man, I got an opportunity for you. I'm like, let's run it through these lenses. And now I'm even at the point of like, I got enough opportunity for me by myself. Like I don't need to, you know, I look at it like I'm going on a trip to Atlanta. You'll have somebody send you a text like, hey man, I'm going to Charlotte. You want to ride? No, I don't go to Charlotte. I'm headed to Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
So if I didn't know I was going on, I'll be in Charlotte.
Right.
And then I wake up and be like, man, I'm supposed to be in Atlanta. So Charlotte to Columbia is further to get to Atlanta than if I was in Columbia and just went to Atlanta for me. So it's like, you need to know where you're going. Because the issue happens in life, if you don't have a vision, if you don't have a mission, somebody will have one for you. And they will use you to accomplish their goals and their missions and their purpose. And then you're going to be mad because you like, they used me to, no. They were clear about what they wanted, and you over here just piddling around in the daisies and like, hey man, come on, get over here. And now you in Tennessee, and you supposed to be in Florida, and now you mad. And so yes, have a vision, but what you said, man, people sit in a workshop for a job, but they won't spend a half a day on a Saturday morning and be introspective and man, ask yourself the questions, man. Why am I doing this? What do I want out of this? What I see myself a year from now? Right. You know, what's my 5-year goal? What's my 10-year goal? And it's not on this pressure. You know, it's not this, I gotta get a wife, I gotta get married, I gotta get kids. It's sort of like, no man, I got gifts, talents, and abilities inside of me.
Right.
What do I need to do to get this stuff? And I ain't gotta call myself stupid. And I ain't gotta call myself, oh, you may see, we should be here by now. Like, cut all the negative talk out. Cut all the low self-esteem. I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. Go to work, man. When you go to work and you get stuff done, your self-esteem be like, yeah, man, we workers that get stuff done. We ain't like, oh, I should have got a degree from Yale. And if I would have done more in high school, I could have went to. That's a waste of time.
And I think in time, like, I feel like, you know, the older people get, the more they're like, hey, it's too late for me. And it's like the more, so now you've wasted another day or another year, you know, with the mentality that it's too late. And then the next year comes like, oh, if only I did last year. And so it's like, now.
And I look at it, it's two ways to look at that. When people say, oh, you know, I wasted time, or you know, it's too late for me. I'm looking at it like, man, the clock moving. I better be moving with the clock. Like I'm looking at it like we look at the same time, and they like it's too late, and I'm like, no, man, I got 20 minutes. I need to speed up.
Right. Like
so, it's how you choose to look at it. If you want to look at it, you know, it's like a mindset. Do you have a growth mindset, or do you have a fixed mindset? Does your mindset tell you, oh, woe is me? I waited too late. I didn't come from the right side of the tracks. I didn't have the best degree. Nobody's, man, kind of like imposter syndrome. All that stuff, man, it's lies. Mm-hmm. You are enough. You are qualified. You have what it takes. You just got to do it. And then it might not work out. Guess what? You've learned something and you can do something else.
Right. And I think that's important too because, you know, each time that I figured, or I thought that I figured like, oh, this is the thing, and this is what I want, and then I may do it, and I realized like, okay, I got it, I did it, and like it's still something else. And what I've noticed is that thing always leads me to the next thing, and so I feel like there's a setup. Like even what you're in right now it can be a building block or stepping block to get you to the next place.
Right. Yeah. I had a buddy in college. He was always talking about when I. So he's like, man, when I'm a sophomore, when I pledge, when I get a car, when I get an apartment, like that's not it, man. It's right now. Mm-hmm. It's the journey to getting the car. It's the freshman year, the sophomore year. It's the GDI to becoming a whatever member or whatever group you want to be a part of. It's like, it's the process. It's the joy. That's living. Living in, when I get to this place in life, I won't have no more worries, no more when I get married and have a kid. No. Your kid gonna fall down and hurt their knee. Your kid gonna have a stomach ache.
Right.
Your marriage gonna have challenges. Your house gonna have a leak. Like, there's no point in life, unless you just want to be mediocre, where you just like, I'm good.
Right.
I don't need any more. I'm straight. I'm just gonna coast it till I leave this earth. And it's not. That's just not the way it is, man. The way for you to have fulfillment is to serve and to give and develop and grow. If you just want to sit around and be negative and be critical and have all of these what ifs, that's not fulfilling. That's not, I don't know how you lay down at night and go to sleep.
Right. And talk about, you know, I always try to like surround myself with some type of motivation, and whether for me it's through books because I understand more. I feel like I receive more information that way. But talk about those, like for people who don't really like go outside of the norm with conversations with people at their job or their family who may try to inspire them. You know, I know you don't need to read every book, and you gotta trust where you're getting your information from, of course. But I just talk about like the other outlets that are available. You hit on it earlier, the things that are available so that you can learn. But just because they're available don't mean you're gonna pick it up and read it.
Yeah, I think that one of the things in life is success leaves clues, right? There's no successful person that doesn't show you how they got to where they are. And I don't care if you're talking about Jeff Bezos, Kevin Hart, Serena Williams. Like, there's a formula for success. And hard work is in all of it. Like, there's no way around busting your behind. Like, and I want to say another word other than behind. There's like, that's the, if I could tell you, you walk away from this with, go out and bust your behind. Like, just kick it.
But you know, and nobody, that's not pretty. Like nobody tweets about that. Nobody Instagrams about that. Like nobody talks about like, I'm out here pretty much slaving, trying to get my dream to work.
Yo, blanket it. Go.
Right.
That's in the formula. Like that's just like air.
Yeah.
So if you're not doing that, you ain't even in the game. Like you lying to yourself. If you ain't out here busting your tail, you lying. Yeah. Like and then if you tell me you want to be successful, you want to live your life, you want to do the dream. So that's the first thing. Success leaves clues, and you gotta bust your tail. But then here's the other thing. It's I'm not The Secret is this book about the law of attraction. I hadn't read the book, but it's basically the type of energy you put out in the world is the type of energy you gonna get back. And I think there's some truth to that in terms of like, what's your intent? Set your intent. I just recently was saying, inside, like I'm a fit person. I go to Orange Theory. I eat real well. But I was just recently saying, man, I need a workout partner. I want to work out partner. I desire to have a workout partner. Well, I got a cousin that's here in town, and we just happened to run into each other at the gym, and was like, hey man, you been coming here? I was like, yeah. It's like, and we need to, and like, just that quick. So now I got a workout partner, and I'm being pushed to a level that I wouldn't push myself had I just been going by myself. Mm-hmm. And I had that intention. I desired that. Now, not everything you desire is going to show up, but it's the law of attraction. Like, if you're telling me you want positivity, if everybody around you negative, and you'll be super positive, because you're going to attract positive people, because liars attract liars. Gossipers attract gossipers. Drunks attract. I mean, it's if you just pay attention to what's happening.
Right.
You can be in a big organization, your job, whatever. Some new person come in and they connect with that. They're like, how did two of them connect? And like, they both lie. They lie. They got a lying spirit. So, like, have the intention of like, I'm going to find the community of people. I'm not gonna sit back and wait for it to happen. So if you're saying, man, I'll find entrepreneur groups, find the groups, maybe they're national groups. You know, like for me, I'm a speaker, I'm a comedian. There are groups for speakers. You know, the National Speakers Association. That's an organization. Now, in many of these things, you gotta invest, you gotta pay some money. But the value you get from being around these people far exceeds the amount of money that you end up paying. You get in certain rooms, money ain't even an issue because the information that's in there, it's so game changing. So I think that start small. You know, if you're saying that, okay, I want to be in an environment of positivity and growth, and then go join the Toastmasters. Just find something you're like, okay, where are people that want to be better at? Where are these people at? They serving on community boards.
They're not at bars. They're not downtown. They're not
at the club. But when they get together, they kick it. So it's like you gotta find where these people are, and it's not hard. I mean, go volunteer at a homeless shelter or somewhere in the community. Volunteer enough, you're gonna start seeing the people like, okay, I've seen this person in a couple of things, like they about this life. So I think, what's your intention? And again, I think beyond even all of that stuff, be honest with yourself. Like, just tell the truth. I don't want to lose weight. I just want to look good. Okay? You should get some new clothes. Because, like, you ain't going to put the work in. Like, so there's got to be a different way. But if you're like, I want to lose weight, I'm committed to drinking this water, I'm committed to working out, then do that. But don't, I want to be, and you don't want to be. Just be honest.
And this is last question, Mike. But talk about. I feel like everybody's, you know, their MO is something, but I feel like everybody wants to make money. Of course, like you want to get to your dream, and that's what you want to work, and you want to have money so that you can support the lifestyle that you want.
Right.
But talk about money being the sole goal. Like.
Right. So here's the thing about money, right? In terms of it. Especially making money. First off, you need to do something that people's gonna pay you to do. So like, for somebody to just be like, I wanna make this bread, I wanna make this money. You can make money. There's a lot of ways
right.
to get money that may not line up with your convictions, your beliefs, who you are. Mm-hmm. So, you know, whether it's money, whether it's influence, whether it's fame, that's not gonna sustain it. Like, what you should want is fulfillment, and you should want meaning, and you should want to make an impact, make a difference. Like, those are the things that if you find that stuff, the money will show. Now, you could just chase money, and again, you can make it. Like, I'm not here to say that people can't just go get money. I secure the bag. I'm out here grinding. But what else are you? Like, how much money is gonna make you happy? $1 million? $2 million? 100,000? Like, what's the number? If you're just saying I'm getting money, you gonna be forever getting money. Like, there's no end to get money. So like, you gotta give yourself parameters, give yourself objectives. Like, you getting this money to do what? I wanna buy a home. I wanna get my mother a house. I wanna fund a scholarship. I wanna be able to pay off all my student loans. Like, do that as you pursue the money, you know, but I think that even as you pursue money, again, do stuff that people wanna pay you for. A lot of people out here doing stuff that they wanna do and don't nobody wanna pay you for.
Right.
I don't care.
Right.
Why should I care? But if you're doing something, I'm like, hey, stay right here. I'm gonna go get my money and I'm gonna come. Like, that's what you want. A lot of people just doing stuff. And you ain't asked nobody, hey man, would you pay for this? You just doing it and now you mad because ain't nobody buying it. And you thought they should have bought it. Cause like with me, when I first got started, I wasn't inviting people to no comedy show. I wasn't saying, hey man, come out, check me out. I ain't saying nothing about my shows for a minute. Cause I wanted to at least make sure I was solid by the time people did show up, it was enjoyable. They had a good time. I don't want you coming to see me figuring it out.
Right.
I'm over here trying to.
Right.
Yeah, all right. Good to see you. Appreciate you, everybody. Like, I want you to come and be proud and have a good time. Like, man, this is a good night. Like, I don't want you to squander your night because you support me. You support my dream. That don't mean you gotta give up your Saturday night to watch me struggle. So I think that money is important. Money is important to use. Money changes things. Money gives you ability. Money's giving me the ability to say no to stuff. When you have money, you can turn down opportunities. You can say, you can be more selective. But I just didn't. One of my biggest goals, it is not directly tied to money. When I really saw my career and I'm still growing and learning, but my career kind of made a big shift, is when I said I wanted to get off the chitlin circuit. Like, that's what my goal was, to get off the chitlin circuit. So if you don't know chitlin circuit is like, if you think about like James Brown, the boys back in the day where we didn't have Spotify, we have YouTube, like you could go and play concerts anywhere. Like they have a concert in somebody's backyard, or they have a concert at some juke joint. Like that's the chitlin circuit. Like wherever we can put 50 chairs.
Right.
So to me, the chitlin circuit for me was like family reunions, people's birthday parties, when people retired, like all these little small events where it's gonna be like just their family and people. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do those no more. Like I can't spend the rest of I didn't leave my job to do family reunions. Like, and I have enjoyed doing family reunions. There's only family reunions that are great. But some of y'all don't know y'all family. Y'all don't even want to go to your family reunion. So I definitely don't want to be up in there telling no jokes. So once I set my intention to say I'm not taking these shows anymore, I want bigger and better. And it's the same attitude. Like I can't take this show, so I can't take the chitlin circuit show, and then be hoping for another opportunity. Well, I already got the chitlin circuit show in my hand. Like I need to have an open hand for another opportunity. I can't keep taking the chitlin circuits, and then the other opportunity comes, and I'm like, oh, let me put this down, and like, no, man, you need to have an open hand. So I can't. And then if I'm taking those shows, that's the kind of energy I'm getting, because everybody at that show saying, hey man, you need to get him. He did this, our family reunion. So they telling all the other family reunion people. They telling all the other birthday party people. They telling all the other grandma turning 80 years old people. And it's like, I don't want that energy out there. I want people to say, man, I don't think we can afford you. Like, not on no arrogant, I'm big. This, like, I want people to, like Rolex. Rolex not out here going on sale.
Even amidst the pandemic.
You ain't seen no Rolex sales. You ain't seen no Bentley sales, like certain things. That's the price. And if you can't afford it, you can't have it. And I think when I started seeing myself like that, I started making adjustments. I started looking at my branding. I started looking at how I communicated my process. Are you calling? Are people getting back in contact with you in a certain amount of time? Am I returning emails in a certain time? So it's just more than just, oh, I gotta get this money, I want a bigger job.
Okay. So I told a story. This is gonna be the last one, right? This is the last question. So when you said returning emails, okay. So talk about, you can't be half doing it.
Right.
Like, you can't just be like, okay, like I see, like, and some I had to check myself. I have seen it in myself where you get opportunities or you start off well, but you begin to fall off. Like responding in a timely manner, like remaining professional about it, because your experience with the people at the chicken circuit or the chitlin circuit has an effect on the people over there that you're trying to get to.
Right.
So if they be like, well, he wasn't reliable, he came late, he barely returned my phone calls, so yeah, I don't know about him. Right. So it's gonna mess up some future opportunities possibly.
Yeah, you said it earlier when we were talking about the attitude of like, I'm gonna give my best regardless of how many views I get. I'm gonna show up So I think that's the first thing, man. How do you show up? And excellence is a word I think people throw around a lot. You know, we talk about black excellence. We always talk about excellence. But that's a personal standard for me. Like I desire to be excellent. And so I'm evaluating what's my image? You know, what do I look like? What's my correspondence? Am I correspondent professional? Even when I was on the chiller circuit, that was a great point. I wasn't mad at those people. I didn't take their gig and then show up with a stinky attitude.
Right.
I didn't even want to be here.
Right.
Shucks, y'all the only one called. Like, no, man, I came in there, I did my job, I was professional, I gave the best performance I could give. And so I think that you, especially if you're an entrepreneur or you desire to be at a bigger level, one of the things I look at, like, this always cracks me up, especially entrepreneurs. I'm always hearing like small business folks. Every now and again, I'm on a couple of listservs on Facebook and stuff. There'll be a question, somebody will say, we need business cards, right? Is it financially feasible? And I'm just like, has Microsoft stopped using business cards? Has Apple stopped using business cards? Has the top level, has the NBA stopped giving out business cards? And so, no, they haven't. So if they're the standard, if you're trying to be in business, do what business people do. And it's like, you can't tell me you want to be like Kevin Hart, but you don't have a website. You don't have a way for us to contact you. We don't have current headshots. We don't know, your press kit. We don't know who to contact. Who's the person that if we have an opportunity, who do we reach out to? What number do we call? And the number we call is not available. And the email bounces back. And your voicemail full, like the stuff that you can control. Like the stuff you can control. That's like, you gotta see yourself as a corporation, even if you're not an entrepreneur. Just see yourself as the CEO of your life, and then start conducting your business manners in the way in which you want to have business conducted towards you. Like I was telling someone recently, like if you're a business and you don't make offers, like we got some people that go to our church, and we're in this business kind of group. And there's, a chef, and the guy will get on Facebook and he'll do a thing, like he'll do a cooking, and then that's it. I'm like, no, you gotta make an offer. You gotta say, hey, join my email list, do this. Like, Gap never sends me an email like, yo, what's up, Mike, how you doing? Like, they have an offer. J. Crew got an offer. They telling me about 20% off. Dick send me an email every day. I don't even know I'm still on there, but every day, and it's never aimless. They got a Father's Day sale, Veteran Day sale, 20% off, shipping free. So be intentional. Like, don't just be doing stuff. Like a lot of times we just, I just want to give. I want to give. The last point I made, I was in this business presentation. The guy was talking about the 5 levels of business, kind of like the Maslow hierarchy of needs. He was saying that businesses, the first 3 levels, you need to get. You need to generate money. I think sales, profit, it was something else. Then you give. So you give at the self-actualization level, like at the top levels. Problem is people come into business wanting to give. I just want to give the kids. I just want to give to my community. You ain't got no money. So how long is this gonna last? Right, yeah. It's gonna last one Thanksgiving? I just wanna give. Yeah. No, you come into business, you build your business, you make money, you get transactions, you make income, then you give, then you endow scholarships, but if you come in and just wanna give, I just wanna give, I just wanna help the community. Church should give. The church, why the church ain't giving? Cause you ain't giving. What the church got to give? You ain't gave. Right. So you got to have a foundation of stability. So that, to your question, make sure your infrastructure is in place before you start trying to get it's easy to make bad decisions at a low scale. Like, it's easy to fail small. It's hard to fail. Like, there's some people that get opportunities too quickly. Right. And when, there were shows where I probably shouldn't have had that show when I had it because I wasn't ready. And I don't think people are honest with themselves to say, you know what, I'm probably not ready. Kevin Hart talks about he had an opportunity to go to the Montreal Comedy Festival, and he decided not to go. He decided to wait another year before he went because he didn't think he was ready. He didn't have the seasoning. He wasn't at the level. He could have went, probably could have did fine, or he could have torpedoed an opportunity. So set the foundation in place. Don't be afraid of big opportunities, but don't make yourself bigger than what you are, and then when you get exposed. But I know time is one of the ways that you get exposed, because sometimes you get too big too quick, and you don't have the foundation to hold you in.
And then creating the habits, I feel like is important. Like when you're just starting out, like have that list of things that you want to do, and your whole to-do list, how you're going to achieve, get one step closer to your dream every week, and stick to that. And if you can't stick to the little stuff in the beginning, it's not looking too good for when the big stuff comes.
And then if you want to compare yourself to people when they have failures. So like B. Simone recently got an issue about plagiarism in her book. Watch how she goes through this, and I saw an Instagram post where she was very upfront, like, hey, I take responsibility. I was responsible for this. I paid these people. She didn't run from it. She didn't hide. She didn't say, oh, woe is me, this guy's fault. Go evaluate, when Kevin Hart got caught up in that scandal, how did he confront it? Like, go look at successful people when they fail. Don't be looking at them when they get the red carpet, when they got, I got on the Gucci. No, don't look at that. Look at when they have challenges and how did they come through that. I think that's far more valuable than to just be daydreaming about, oh man, one day that's gonna be me. Oh, red carpet. No, go see, okay, what happened when even with the dude, I forgot the guy, he be doing them do the internet comedian. Desi Banks, he just made a post. He said something during the riots, and people was like, we live in this cancel culture, so everybody like, oh, he's out here. But he said, hey man, I made a mistake. I didn't know my words had this much impact. Own up to it. Don't run away from it. Don't try to hide. Own up to the mistakes. But go watch what successful people do when it first hits, because it's gonna hit. It's gonna hit. But I think we focus on the wrong stuff, man. We always look at it must be nice. Oh, it's been so easy. Like everybody that had to work. Nobody has been given a free pass, and you may think that until you find out the backstory.
Right. They done protected their failures too, because they protected the dream. But you guys, I want to thank my Uncle Mike for being on my channel. I really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, of course, let me know. You can comment below. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. I would love to have him on here again. I'll give him a little break for him some more. But if you do have any questions, I would love to get those to him so that he can, help you out and answer those for you. And yeah, so I look forward to doing more of these videos. I mean, I learned a lot just sitting here talking, and this actually happens a good bit. My brother can attest to this too. We love talking to him about visions and dreams because you can talk to people about it when they have visions and goals themselves, but when they're actually doing the work and they've actually gotten to where they want to go, it's a lot easier to trust their words and their guidance. All right, well, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.